Basically.
So, black holes. I'm sure everybody's seen Star Trek or something where you end up with the, oh no, Captain, we're approaching the event horizon, and the ship kind of goes, all splat. Yeah, there's actually real science behind that, and it's actually kind of cool. Do I have a quick
With the
mouse? Cool.
Yep.
So what are they? A black hole is basically a region in space-time where everything has come together so compactly that it warps everything else around it. This includes light, radiation, things like X-rays, infrared, stuff like that, and any unfortunate matter that happens to be floating along next to it. We measure these points in terms of solar masses. They range from anything close to 3-4 times the size of our sun to the scale of billions to trillions the size of our sun. They have a very high gravitational pull. They actually create gravitational singularities. So you hit the event horizon and gravity becomes infinity. That big. Yeah. They're called black holes because they function much like a thermodynamic black body, which is the concept of it's a perfect void. Everything goes in, nothing comes out. Because of that, we also can't see them directly. We can only measure them through indirect means. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Yeah. How does this happen? The most common way that we know of is when a star collapses. A supermassive star, something like a red supergiant, suddenly decides, you know what? The forces holding me out aren't actually overcoming my gravity anymore. Boom! And everything falls in on itself. Normally, this would result in something like a neutron star or a white dwarf. But if the star is actually big enough, it'll become a black hole. The other theory that these things come about from is the Big Bang. Things were much denser right after that, and because of that, a lot of matter got pushed together, creating these points of super dense mass. And that's actually how the black holes at the center of most galaxies happened. And third one is high-speed collisions. See, this is how the Large Hadron Collider is going to kill us all, because when things go kaboom really, really fast, theoretically we think it might kind of cause a black hole. We think. We're hoping not. And we're kind of hoping that if it does, it's going to be small enough to, fizzle out before it does any damage. We think. So how do we see these? You don't. That's the short of it. You can't. But we can see the effects of the gravitational singularity. It creates things like warping, accretion disks. Gravitational lensing is when something like a galaxy or a star passes in front of a black hole relative to us, but still well before its event horizon so that it's not going to get pulled in. And we actually see the light of whatever that object is warp and twist, much like it's going behind a fisheye lens. So when we're actually paying attention to the universe and pick stuff up on telescopes like that, it's kind of neat. And then we can go, oh hey, look at that! The other thing is, there's these things called active galactic nuclei. And these are the centers of galaxies that start spitting out random bits of radiation in quantities and qualities that they shouldn't. Massive amounts of X-rays, things like that. When they start spurting out in jets all of a sudden, where they kind of weren't before, perpendicular to everything else in the area, that's usually the sign that something funky's going on. And when there's something rotten in the state of Denmark, it's usually a black hole. Now, these things create gravity wells. And these wells are dips in space-time. Think of space-time like a sheet that you folded over a box. So when you put a tennis ball in the box, and on that sheet it creates a depression, and any marbles or quarters that you stick on it are going to sort of fall in. Space-time works the same way. You get something very heavy like a sun, and it'll all start falling in. Black holes are much bigger than suns in terms of mass. Not always diameter, but usually mass. And it falls in. They've got these things called event horizons. And event horizons are that point where, when you get to it, you're not ever getting back out again. These event horizons are the point where the gravity actually does become infinite, and anything past that point is never going to come back out, and is pulled apart in a long stream of... Oh, crap, that was the next point. Okay, solidification is this awesome process, and yes, it is an actual word. Screw you, spell check. That, where you've got this thing, and so you've got like a red rubber ball, and you've got your black hole over here, and the black hole starts pulling on the ball, except it's not pulling evenly. The stuff on the edge here of the wall is not getting pulled quite as strongly as the stuff on the inside of the ball. So it starts to stretch out until it's basically a giant piece of spaghetti matter. So you've got this, eventually you've got this little trail of atoms falling in. The weird thing about this is that it creates accretion disks. Because for whatever freaking reason, gravity likes to make things spin and rotate. It is weird. The math is kludgy. It works, but it's kludgy. Just trust me on this one. So how these things happen? They grow, they decay, they exist, they don't. It's weird. Black holes absorb everything. This includes all sorts of stray matter, random gases from nebulae, and cosmic background radiation. Now, this is important because as the universe goes on, it's being eaten from its very beginning by these black holes. These things will also kind of absorb globular clusters, which are lots of little protostars, all kind of centered together, and when the black hole comes across them, it just kind of goes and eats them alive. Yeah. And when they collide, it's bad. It does stupid things to the gravity. Like, really stupid things. Tides in space, not fun. Not fun. Now, on the flip side of this, you've got Hawking radiation. And Hawking radiation is something that somebody who's a lot smarter than me and gets paid to sit around and just kind of think about this stuff. It's something that he came up with. You might have heard of him. His name's Stephen Hawking. Don't know anything named after him. And he's got this theory that Hawking radiation, even though we can't see it, is actually trickling out of all black holes that exist ever, and slowly but surely making them go away. We think. Somebody in Sweden says that they found out a theoretical way for this thing to work, but they couldn't actually prove it, so we're hand-waving that. The problem is it breaks other things, so I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, I really should double-check which slide where my slides were in. Okay, information paradox. This kind of works on two fundamental concepts about the universe. Now, the first being that everything that happens on a quantum or molecular level, you can reverse it. If something speeds up, you can slow it back down. You change something, you change its location, you can put it back where it belongs. Black holes, that doesn't work so well. So, when a black hole absorbs something, the only thing that we can observe about a black hole is its mass, its electrical charge, and its angular momentum. Everything else is lost when it's absorbed in. This includes details about its molecular structure, things like about how the quarks are organized, stuff like that. And when it's absorbed, all of that goes away. Now, when you suddenly have something like that, and you have them all dropping into a point, and they stay in that point, it doesn't break the math, because, it's not really gone, it's just all crammed together. But the way Hawking radiation works is that it's this unorganized stream of matter that's coming out, and radiation is coming out of the black hole, with no ties to what went in. The easiest way to think about it is you've got a function that whenever you put something into it, it turns it into a 1. When you've got all your input going into a box in a closet somewhere, that's great. But when you actually have to plug those 1s back into something useful, it starts to break down again. So it's kind of this alchemical weirdness that we just don't talk about it anymore. Now, you've also got these supermassive black holes, and these have been around for a really long time. They're at galactic centers, mostly. We think. We know there's one at the center of our galaxy, the Milky Way, because we can see the effects on stars around it. We haven't actually seen this thing ourselves because there's that whole the galaxy is flat. We're here, the center's here. We are here-ish, the center's here, and the thing is flat. It's like the point on the edge of the CD looking into the center. It isn't going to work. they average in at very billions of solar masses. The smallest one I think is 33 billion that we've seen, which is still, again, billions of times larger than anything created by a solar collapse. And these are the ones we think that were created during the Big Bang just because of their age, their location, stuff like that. Now, star collapsing black holes are things that would have been created by something going supernova. The gravity does just kind of overwhelm the internal forces and they go shoom. And there's this neat thing called the whole bunch of names that I can't actually pronounce. Again, people who are a lot smarter than I am get paid to sit around, or who got paid to sit around and think about this stuff. So they get things named after them. But what that thing is, the POV limit says that stars of this size and below will decay into neutron stars or white dwarfs, depending on a couple of other factors and what the star's composition is. Anything past this is going to go black hole. The problem with this is it's a theoretical limit, so whenever something weird happens, it kind of changes, and we say, oh, it's actually this number. Please don't look too closely at our math. But whenever these collapse, they're only about 3 to 20 solar masses, much smaller than anything else we can see. So, shiny.